The BMW M3, arguably one of the greatest all-round performance cars ever made. The G80 is the latest in the lineup, and statistically it's the best one yet. Only thing is though, to a purist, numbers don't mean everything. What it feels like to drive, how it sounds and what it looks like is more of a deal breaker to most people than shaving half a second off the 0 to 60 time. And because of that, the F80 is still the ultimate M car for a lot of Bimmer fans out there. The only thing is though, the new G80 is getting something that the F80 platform never got, a touring version. And I do love a wagon. But not to worry, a few people decided to take it into their own hands and built their own F81 M3. You've probably seen one or two already, they're not a brand new concept, but when I found out there was one on my doorstep and it was Porsche Miami Blue, I had to go check it out for myself. So get yourself a cuppa, sit yourself down and let's get into it. There's something about a performance wagon that just makes it 10 times more appealing than the saloon that they're based on. Take an RS6 for example. Proper boring as saloon car to look at, but whack an extra couple of suitcases worth of space on top of that boot lid and BAM! Now we're talking. Like I mentioned in the intro, the G80 is getting that treatment most likely at the back end of 2022. But BMW never went down that route with the F80, and it's honestly one of the biggest mysteries as to why they never bothered. Maybe they didn't think that they could challenge the sales of the RS6s, I don't know. But thanks to my mate Josh, we can delve into what one would have been like if BMW decided to pull the finger out and make them. This F80 Touring, or F81 as I'm going to call it, is a full M3 conversion. It's not just an arch and bumper job. It has all of the gear from your F80 M3, including that all-important S55 under the bonnet. And one key difference between this and the new generation M3 is that it retains that DCT gearbox, which I have to admit, if you leave both units alone, is the better one to have. The ZF is good once you map it, but standard it's really sluggish compared to the sharp changes you get from that DCT box. And I don't think you're going to want to void your warranty on a car that starts from about 80k, but is more like 100 grand by the time you've ticked all the nice options. That brings me on to the elephant in the room. How much does it cost to build one of these? Well, it does vary massively because you're going to be buying a couple of donor cars, and the condition could mean that you're paying a lot more or a lot less than the guy who built one before you. You'll want an F31, which is a code name for a 3 Series estate, and you can pick one of them up for about 5 grand. There are probably cheaper ones out there. Then you ideally want a damaged but running F80 M3. £20,000 is about what you'd expect to pay for one of those from say Copart or eBay, depending on how badly damaged it is. And labour, that is another big cost. The man hours you're going to have to pay if you aren't doing it by yourself will probably end up totaling to be about the same as that salvaged M3. So realistically, if you're going to do everything yourself, you could build one for as little as 25 to 30 grand. But if you're taking it to a unit and letting some wizards work their magic, then you're going to be talking more like 50. So roughly about half the price of a new G80 Touring. Kinda tempting if you have the dosh, isn't it? What's the work involved then? Well, to massively simplify the process, you want to completely strip both donor cars back to the bare shells, and basically bolt all of the front end bodywork to the Touring. The engine is pretty much a straight swap apart from a few little brackets that need making up for the likes of the airbox and that. There are some chassis braces under the front wings that need to be taken from the M3 and welding on, a plate under the transmission tunnel which gets swapped over and welded on, which houses the transmission mounts, and you need to remove the old rear diff protection to make way for the new subframe. The strut tops need to be drilled, as the standard F31s are only 3 bolts but the F80 struts have 5. The rear arches need to be cut out and the flared ones off the M3 need to be welded in, and you need to do a bit of plastic welding to the rear bumper since the top half is the original F31 and the bottom half is from the F80. Inside the interior is pretty much a straight swap. All the control modules and looms etc are transferred over apart from the rear tailgate which needs some alterations, and the rear bench seats need modifying slightly to fit in too. The roof lining also needs to be cut for the Harman Kardon rear speakers, and yeah, that's about it. Piece of piss really, innit? Taking all of that into consideration, plus the time and effort it takes to paint a car, I'd say that the labour costs are pretty well justified. The end result? Well, it looks, goes, stops and corners like an M3 does. If there are any differences in handling because of the extra weight, it is minute. Josh's car also boasts a panoramic roof, which might be sacrilege on an M3 over the standard carbon option you get. But when you're building it from scratch, you can go wild and do whatever the hell you like. I prefer it, to be honest, regardless of the extra weight it piles on the top of the car. It's not like it's a slouch anywhere. The S55 and accompanying DCT box have both been mapped using the BM3 and XHP software respectively, so it's pushing about 520 brake now, which isn't bad for a family wagon at all, is it? Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm sure you all know about the F80 platform by now, so I don't really need to do a full review on it. And if you don't, then where the hell have you been? That's essentially what this car is, but with a little bit of spice added to the back end. Big thanks to Josh for letting me film it, considering I said I'd make a video on it nearly a year ago, and I never got round to it. And if you want to support the channel, do all of the usual stuff, you know? Like, subscribe and share the video. I do really appreciate everyone who takes the time out of the day to come watch these, so thank you very much. And if you do leave a comment, you'll be entered into the Doozy Car Care giveaway, which is drawn at the end of every month. Come join the Facebook group to chat all sorts of shit about cars. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!